Welcome to our third chapter of Sensei's life history. Good morning, Sensei.
Good morning.
You told us in the last clip about your martial art Indian trainer, and he unfortunately died suddenly. What happened next?
Well, he died after his meeting. I told you in the last chapter that he met with a car accident when he was opening the railway gate, and he was paralyzed in the hospital, and later he passed away. So this was the end of my Indian martial arts training for the time being as a kid. Unfortunately, I have forgotten to say that I have also practiced in this before starting this Indian martial arts. My father put me, because it was such a short time, I didn't want to mention about it. We changed houses very often. And the next place where we changed, the neighbor was a Chinese teacher in Tai Chi. I didn't know what kind of a Tai Chi it was. Later, I found out it was Chen Tai Chi Chuan. So my father put me into Tai Chi, but it was only a couple of months. I think it was mostly like 2.5 months I practiced. And I stopped it because it was so boring and I didn't want to go for practicing. I was always complaining to my father and I said, I don't want to go. So he quit me from going because he was too slow and I have to concentrate with all the older peoples. He was teaching like about 5-6 people. And I have to stop, and I didn't practice Tai Chi. So that was the short story about Tai Chi. And then I came to this Indian martial arts teacher, and he passed away. So we moved away from this place later to another house. So totally, I should say, I think I've moved nearly about 9 houses in my life as a child due to my father's working. And also, I should say, he was always looking for a better house, a better place for the children and a better type of living standard. So we was always moving to a better neighborhood, we should say. And I came to another neighborhood, and that is where I was staying nearby the military camp. When I was staying nearby the military camp, my father was working for the British Army. And he brought me into the military camp, introduced me to the boxing, that is the British boxing. So I started British boxing over there, and it was my first encounter with, I should say, foreign martial arts. The rest was mostly Malaysian martial arts, and I don't call boxing as a martial arts, because it's much more of a sport. But at that time, I didn't know what was sport and what was martial arts. But I was very fascinated and I started boxing. And I had a very nice teacher who was teaching me. I can't remember his name. He was a British guy. And I was in the cadet in the army camp, and among the British kids, I won some few tournaments among the kids, the cadets group. So it was very good for me, and I was improving a lot. Most of the time I was doing boxing, I was fascinated later by Muhammad Ali, his footwork. When he started in box, when I came to know about him was in the beginning of 60s. We used to see him fighting. His first fight was with Sonny Liston. At that time was Cassius Clay. And later he changed the name Muhammad Ali, and it was so big since he changed the name. Muhammad Ali, he was very famous in Malaysia. So all the TV stations used to show his fights. So we used to see Muhammad Ali, and I used to watch his footwork, and I was very fascinated with his footwork. And I was trying to adopt the way he moved. And sometimes when later parts of my life, that was when I was like about 23 years old, I believe, 22, 23 years old, I met another boxing teacher, because this boxing was in the 60s. It was finished when the British went back home. After we got the independence, They stayed a couple of years and then they left for home. So all the British people got back to their home country, and there was no more boxing anymore for me. So my boxing stopped at that age. But then later, I started boxing again. That was in the 1970s. When I started at that time boxing, I was lucky I started that boxing because through a good friend of mine, I didn't know actually that he was a Asian boxing. He was in the Asian team, Malaysian guy. His name was Ramli. That was his Malay name, Ramli. I can still remember. He has a good, fantastic physique as a boxer. And I trained boxing with him, with one of my colleague, Tony Ponea was his name. His name, I call him Ponea. Tony is today his special name. I brought him into karate, and I used to take him along and say, hey, would you like to practice boxing? Let's go. And we used to practice boxing with Ramli. So we heard that he was in the tournaments in the Asian tournaments. But I didn't know. Some people say he's an Asian champion. Some people say he was only a team member of the Asian. So I don't know what title he had or anything. But he was a good boxer. And when I trained boxing, my footwork was already more of moving, and I was no more staying in one place. I was moving around, and he had a very hard time catching me up. And when I started boxing with the British, I was more of a left-hand fighter. And later, after my karate boxing time, karate starting, and then I got into boxing, I was more of a right-hander. So I changed from southpaw, northpaw to the right-hand side. And he had a very hard time catching me up. And I can change left and right at that time. So I was moving around, he couldn't catch me. And I was very good with my jabs, always flicking my jabs at his face. And he used to be like this on guard and coming and fighting, which we call it today as a peekaboo style. And he would tell me, come closer, we have to have close contact fighting. I hated close contact fighting. I did learn close contact fighting. I knew it is very good, but I didn't like to do close contact fighting with him because I couldn't stand the smell of his mouth when he got into it. I think he must be having a bad teeth or whatever it was. He never had so I have to try to hold my breath, fight with him, and then get out because the breath was so bad. And so I was much more happier at a long distance hitting him. And he said, hey, your boxing is good. How long have you been boxing? So this boxing was going on I'd say 2-3 years I was doing boxing with him just for the sake, but not for competition, just for the sake. And I used to incorporate this sometimes in boxing techniques, including with the kicking techniques. And later when I came first time to Germany, or in Switzerland, I used to do kickboxing. A combined karate technique with boxing technique. So this was already in the 70s, beginning of 70s, I was already combining kicking and punching and having a wonderful time. That was, I can say, about my boxing career. And I didn't continue with my boxing because I got involved in many other martial arts.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you remember your first fight in boxing?
Yes, in the military camp, I was. It was like about 3 rounds fights, and then 5 rounds. It was increasing, and it's amateur fights. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yes, I was winning all the time. I should say. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was using more of feet work. Later parts in my boxing, I was moving a little bit like Ali's movement, but I incorporated some of the Indian footwork. Indian footwork is very similar to Pakwa movement. Very, very similar of the movement. So I incorporated to get dodge in and dodge out. So I incorporated this and I think my boxing was a mixed up of everything. Chinese a little bit, Indian a little bit, and the Western boxing footwork. I never liked to stand and fight. I was moving around. And my karate, when I was doing later parts in tournaments, I was not always standing. Beginning time I was standing, but later in tournaments, when I was fighting in tournaments, I was moving away. Yes.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
for this clip.
Yes, I hope the viewers enjoy a small part of my boxing career.
Okay. Goodbye.
Thank you. See you in my next chapter. Take care. Bye.